Welcome. You are listening to the Overseas Life Redesign podcast, where you'll hear fun, relaxed, and inspirational interviews with people who are really living the dream. I'm Dawn Fleming, an attorney turned alchemist, and your host for the show, coming to you from the tropical island paradise of Isla Mujeres, Mexico. Listen to conversations with courageous souls who've stepped out of their comfort zone and designed a new way of life. They'll share their experiences, wisdom, and offer practical steps you can take to redesign your life overseas. Listen and you'll believe. If you can dream it, you can achieve it. All right, I'm here with Maria DeNuccio. I am so excited to hear her story and to share her story. We're sitting in this amazing oceanfront restaurant that has been open for about 8 months now, and we're just having conversation about kind of how this whole thing started. So, Maria, if you would share with us how you ended up here on Isla Mujeres, and then we'll get to the restaurant in a little bit.
My husband and I actually came to Isla Mujeres 30 years ago before we were married. Just a day trip. We did the famous come to Cancun, go to the all-inclusives back in 1989, and we loved the area. We toured, we went to Cozumel, we came here to Isla, and then we went back and our lives developed and we got married and had a family. And then at that point, I'd say about 10 years into our marriage, we went to what was called Puerto Aventuras, which is now called Riviera Maya. It was not called that back then, but it's now called Riviera Maya. We loved that area, and we traveled through that area for a little while. Then we did another trip a few years later to the Vallarta, Puerto Vallarta area, Nuevo Vallarta, and we liked it, but it just wasn't the same as the Yucatan area. So we decided that after our children finished with college that we really wanted to go somewhere warm. And we started looking around, and we went to the same Puerto Aventuras area. We went to Tulum, because that wasn't there back then. But the Tulum area, obviously, Tulum was there, but the area as it's known now
was not the same.
Yes. And we thought about that. We went to Acumel, we went to Puerto Morales, and then we even came here to Isla, and we went on our trip. It was a 3-week trip. We stayed at 3 different sections, distinct sections. We stayed at the north end, the middle of the island, and the south end. And the south end just has such a charm that we fell in love with this, and that's how we ended up here in this location.
All right. And so I know you had this dream of having a restaurant for a long time.
Yes. When I was younger, my passion was cooking. My grandmother cooked. I was by her side. I just loved cooking. So it's something I always wanted to do, but I wanted a family. So I had my family first. I wanted the restaurant industry, even though I was not in it, I still knew what it would take to run a restaurant, and I wasn't willing to give up what I wanted with my family. So I kind of backburnered it, or maybe didn't even think I would go down that road, back then. But then as the kids were getting closer to graduating from colleges and in high school, we started talking, and we decided, I would say to my husband, after everything's done, because we gave our children as best an opportunity. We put as much effort, money into our children so that they could have a good life and support themselves.
That was the priority.
That was the priority. We wanted to teach them how to be good citizens and how to be self-sufficient on their own. Too many people are relying on others to do for them. And we wanted to teach our kids that you need to do for yourself, and hopefully do so well that you can even do for others.
Sure.
For the less able. So about, I'd say our youngest was probably in high school. We started looking around, looking even in the States for some land, because the joke was that I said to my husband, I just need to be by the water, and I would say in a shack by the beach. And he's like, well, I'm not living in any shack by the beach.
No shack for him.
So we started looking around, and we just couldn't find anything in the United States that we could afford. Not even necessarily even for a restaurant, even just to be in that type of an environment as a place for a future retirement.
To live.
Just to live.
Mm-hmm.
So then we were here on Isla with the goal to look for land to maybe build a retirement house or build or purchase something that maybe a 2-unit and get into the rental unit piece, almost a bed and breakfast environment to have my dream of running a restaurant, owning a restaurant come out in that method. But we found this piece of land, and I fell in love with it. My husband wanted to buy a 2-apartment building in La Gloria. He said, let's do this. This is what we could afford right now. Let's just do this. And I said to him, well, my dream was not in La Gloria. It was not in a neighborhood. My dream is on the water.
Right.
And so I said, how about if we look at land now and then build in the future? Because he was, let's buy this now, and in 5 years, let's buy some land.
Right.
And I said, well, I'm really afraid that if we go that direction, 2 things. It's an island. 1, there may not be any land left.
Right.
2, it may not be affordable in 5 years.
Yeah.
Which really is truthful. My husband will now say, I'm so glad that she talked me into it, because we would not be able to do what we're doing if I had to buy the land today.
Today, sure. Yeah, it's really changed just in the last few years.
Right. So we bought the land, and we weren't certain which concept. We still want to do, let me backtrack. When we bought the land, we said we wanted to put up units with a restaurant. And the position of things, units were going to be in the front and maybe the restaurant in the middle. And that's, again, where I said, well, my dream was not that I wanted to be a landlord. I really wanted to run and operate a restaurant. And we could not afford to borrow, because this is an investment. We couldn't afford to borrow enough to do the whole project at once. So we changed the plans, changed the design, put the restaurant first in the front of our property, where we have developed 1/3 of our property.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Then there's a lot of land here, yeah.
There is some green space that we'll definitely want to leave open, but so that's how we switched, and now we decided to do the restaurant first.
And Dan's background is?
So we both have very unique backgrounds. People are amazed when they come in here and they enjoy themselves, and they see how attentive our staff has been trained and how wonderful things are running and the food. And they ask me, oh, well, did you do restaurants before? And I say, no, this is my first adventure at it. It's something I've always had a passion for. I'm a very logical person, so I feel as if I could do that. And I do feel gifted in the kitchen. I do feel gifted at flavors and smells and tastes. But so my background is I've worked in higher education all my life, in financial aid offices at universities and colleges, consulting them on how to process financial aid properly, utilizing computer systems. Dan's background was, so I worked at a university prior to consulting him. When I worked at a university, my husband worked in pharmaceutical sales. He worked in pharmaceutical sales for many years, 18 plus years. And right around the time, around 2006, is when I was approached by a company to go into consulting, which I did. I did that. And it was a very decent salary. It was a good salary, almost the same. I think my husband was a little, he was proud and happy, but I think he was frustrated in the sense that it took him 18 years to get to that salary, and here I was coming in at that salary. So I did that. He was in pharmaceutical sales for about a year that we were overlapping, and he just wasn't happy. And you also understand, when I worked at the university, I was not making much money. So we knew how to live on less, so he started a company.
Oh, okay.
So we did a little flip, and it's funny because I really, prior to being approached to consult, I really had been done at that particular university, the politics that goes on in a university setting. I was done. I had spent 25 plus years in the university setting, and I wanted to start a catering business. And he said to me, so this was about 2004, he's like, really? Now, I was the one that carried the health insurance, and he says, I really don't think that's a really good idea. So then, that's 2004, 2006, I get recruited, I'm earning some money. 2007, almost 2008, he's like, I can't handle the pharmaceutical industry. I want to start a business. And I have to say, I was a little bit, you wouldn't let me start my business.
I didn't get to.
But my husband's a better businessman than me in the sense of setting up a business. And he could do that. I probably would have been successful at catering. I probably would have been. But everything happens, times and reasons. So he started his little handyman construction company, one-man construction, and then it's 3Ds. It was 3D construction company. 3D because we have three DeNuccio boys. So it was him and the boys on summertime. He's grown his business. So now he has a partner. He is not a handyman. He's doing new construction, remodeling, some commercial work. So his business has grown.
So that's still ongoing in the United States. Okay, so he's actively involved in that.
He's actively involved in that.
Okay.
But it's gotten to the point now where he's earning, as far as the financial aspect, it was we earned a certain amount. Then I started earning, so we earned a lot for that 1 year that we overlapped. Then when he started doing construction, he wasn't making any money.
Right.
So it's one of those things that we're kind of following a cycle. So after our third son, the youngest, graduated from college, that's when I started to not work. Not take contracts, not travel. Because I was traveling as a consultant. I was traveling every week.
I can imagine.
It actually was probably his junior year that I really stopped because the last payments were made.
Right, sure.
Because that's the other joke, I earned a lot of money, but I never saw the money. It went right out to colleges and universities, and that's okay. That's
better than student loan debt. Right?
Exactly. And that was the plan.
Yeah.
I'm a believer in if you bring a child into this world that you're responsible for them until they are self-sufficient. And you need to give them all the tools so that they can become self-sufficient. So that's what we did. So that's what happened at the point where my son, Patrick, our youngest, was just about ready to graduate. I stopped working, so now we're back down to being used to only having that one income.
But how great that you've been able to dovetail your businesses, and so you can kind of carry things while he's getting his going, and now you've got the freedom with the restaurant to not have so much financial pressure because he's got the other business. right? I mean,
exactly. And even, he'll say to people when they're talking, because of the earnings that I was making, it gave him the ability to start a business.
Right.
So if it wasn't for my earning capacity at that particular stage in my life, he wouldn't have been able to start a business. Because when he started a business, we were spending.
You don't have instant profits ever.
I don't know too many. Yeah, we were spending money like I'm doing now.
Right.
The reverse. So we kind of go through this.
Yeah.
But you learn that when you're here on Isla, or maybe anywhere, or maybe as you get older, I don't know what it is where you start to learn how little you really do need. I've always been a person of, I've never been a big material gift giver. And maybe I'm bad because maybe some people like that, but I learned a long time ago that I felt that gifts of time is more important than a physical gift. And so that's, that's what we do, gifts of time.
Absolutely. I think those are the most precious. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back in a moment.
Isla Mujeres is a Caribbean jewel off the coast of Cancun. Castilito del Caribe warmly invites you to enjoy our spectacular oceanfront villa located in the heart of El Centro and a short walk to Playa Norte, which is ranked one of the top 10 beaches in the world. With an ocean view of crystal-clear turquoise waters overlooking both the Caribbean and Cancun city skyline, we offer a fabulous location for you to enjoy all the peace and tranquility you're looking for on vacation, while also taking in all the excitement the island has to offer, with activities either in walking distance or a golf cart day excursion away. Please visit castilitocaribe.com, www.castilitocaribe.com. We look forward to seeing you soon.
Integrity Vacation Property Management. Trust, truth, results. From buyer's representative services to rental market analysis, staging, marketing, and full-service property management, achieving your goals is our top priority. Visit our website at www.integrityvpm.com and get our free guide, Self-Manage or Hire, a property owner's checklist of issues to consider. Contact us for a free consultation to see if we can help you maximize the return on your investments. Integrity VPM, raising the bar in vacation property management. Okay, we're back here with Maria DeNuccio, and now I'd like to shift gears a little bit, and I really want to hear about your Sicilian background and your recipes and that whole history that is now folded into your amazing restaurant.
As I mentioned before, my mother and father were working class. We're a working class family, and my mother worked. My mother did go back to work. I am one of 3 girls. I have 2 sisters who were born close together, and then I was born 4 years after my second sister was born. And at that point in time, my mom needed to go to work. The 2 girls were in school, so she had this baby who, that's a whole podcast to hear about my what I put my poor mother through. But she had this baby, and so back in the days, you brought your kids to your mother. So my grandmother watched me when I was a young girl. My grandmother never left the kitchen. She just, I say never. Yeah, she maybe went out into the yard, out to the garden to get some food to go back into the kitchen to prepare. And maybe she did laundry, but my grandmother was a homebody. I consider myself a homebody also. But she just had a passion for cooking. And I spent a lot of time with her and watched her. She took flour and she made so many things out of flour and water. She made her own pasta, she made her own bread, she made her own pizza, she made her own spinach pies. We had doughboys, everything. My grandmother just did everything. We had what we called airplanes, which is calamari stuffed, but they look like little airplanes because of just the shape of
Sure.
the calamari. I'm just amazed at what my grandmother did. When I look back and I drive by, my grandmother had 8 children. This is my mother's mother.
Mm-hmm.
She had 8 children, and those 8 children had 26 children.
Wow.
I had 26 first cousins, fairly close in age. And we went every Sunday to my grandmother's house. It was just a little cape. I don't know where we fit. I look back and I'm like, where did we all fit? And I do remember this just being all taking up the whole room of bodies. So that's where the passion came from. Oh, as far as her cooking, sauce was made every Sunday. Every Sunday, family gathered every Sunday. We ate as a family, as a big family.
And I mean, feeding an army, right? I mean, this is like
she fed an army.
large quantities.
Absolutely, and I definitely am gifted with that. I'm able to do that, and that's where the catering originally, when I wanted to be into catering.
Sure.
And I have done. I've done a lot of in the States. I did a lot of catering really free to people. Catering for my church. I cooked for 100 people a couple of times a year.
Mm-hmm.
So
do you do catering here for the restaurant, or you haven't?
I haven't yet.
Okay.
I haven't yet. It's we're still too new.
Okay.
I have done catering in the sense of I've had folks call up ahead of time. Can we have
Large to-go orders?
Yes. Can we have a tray of they want spaghetti and shrimp? I've done that. Salads.
Okay.
And I've learned on how to do those salads.
Sure.
Ask the people, are you eating it right away? Or are you not? Do you want it dressed? Do you not? Everything is, you learn.
It's a learning curve.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything. But the recipes are really from, morning. One of my staff members just came.
Oh, awesome.
You learn from just repeating. I learned from my grandmother from just watching her. Then from reading, tweaking, tasting. Because my grandmother was, and even myself, you measured by your hands.
I was going to say, I have a similar story. I used to be in the kitchen with my grandmother quite a bit, and I remember trying to write down her recipes, and it was impossible because she didn't measure. A little of this, little of that, and that's how they did it, right?
Absolutely. And it's amazing, and maybe, again, this is part of my logic. I feel gifted in logic. I can look and pour in a certain amount in my hand, and I can say, oh, that's a teaspoon, that's a tablespoon, that's a quarter cup.
Yes.
I just have that sense of...
Same here. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. So that does make it challenging if you're trying to have other people help you.
Duplicate it.
Yes. Yeah. The other thing about the recipes are just recipes. It's about execution. It's about science. And what dish needs to start from a hot pan? What dish needs to start from a cold pan?
Mm-hmm.
What can you put in the oven that can go in that's not preheated? What must be preheated? It really is. Good chefs would be good chemists too.
Yes, I can see that.
And they do say that chemists usually enjoy cooking. It's a similar.
Sure.
You're mixing compounds and ingredients, and once you put them together, you come up with something different. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of chemistry.
Mm-hmm. So, did you spend any time in Sicily, or that was just your heritage?
I did not spend a lot of time in Sicily. I did visit Sicily. That's my heritage. All 4 of my grandparents came from Italy, mostly from the Sicilian area. One grandparent was half Sicilian and half from Naples, half from Sicily. So I just say I'm all Sicilian because it's only that little...
Pretty close, yeah.
So that little bit...
definitely 100% Italian.
Definitely. Well, unless you talk to Italians that say Sicilians aren't Italians.
Oh, right. Well, there's that.
Too. But, yes, it was a very unique experience when I went to Sicily I butcher words, but Taormina. Okay. When I went there, it was oddest experience. I got there and I just smelled my grandmother. It was so reminiscent of her kitchen, just being in that area because of all of the confectionery stores and pastry places. And this was 30 years after my grandmother passed.
Okay.
But to get that like instant grandmother, came out.
Well, they say the sense of smell is one of our strongest memories, right? That will bring that up.
And between that and I never understood in our yard, in my grandmother's yard, there was a wagon wheel, on a spoke, just one wheel on a spoke. Okay, well, there was a wagon wheel in the yard. When you go to Sicily, wagon wheels are everywhere. They are a thing. Wagon wheels and puppets, the puppets like Pinocchio.
Okay.
They're made in that area. But again, to go there, I don't know, is this just a God spiritual thing that I go to Sicily for the first time, I smell my grandmother and I see my grandfather's wagon wheels all over the place. It just felt like I was coming home.
Yeah.
It was a really neat feeling, neat experience.
And that was quite some time. This was way before the restaurant.
This was before the restaurant. Thankfully, it was a ladies' trip. It was my mom and her 3 daughters. And we're so thankful of that trip because my mother passed away 4 months after.
Oh, wow. So that,
A very, very unexpected. So
very significant trip. And there's a photograph in your kitchen, and that is your mom.
I do need to get some more photos when I go back to the States of my grandmother and
put
get
those
some
in.
more family photos. But that's my mom. That's my mom. Part of her passing, as I said, was very untimely. She had a small life insurance policy, and part of those funds paid for the land.
Oh.
So when we finally build a house, it's going to be called Casa Pasqualina. That's my parents. I'm very Italian heritage. My father's name is Tindaro. He's still living.
Okay.
And I have a stepmother, Caroline, his wife, who's been in the family for many, many years. And my mother was Pasqualina, which means Little Easter. So I come from a very Italian family because we're Italian.
So there's lots of, I've worked in the industry, in the restaurant industry before. That's how I put myself through college. There's lots of moving pieces to that whole process. And are you enjoying most of it? Is there a certain aspect that you love more than other things? Or how's that been, having been someone who hasn't really worked in that industry before?
Right. I mean, I worked in the industry when I was in my early 20s, bartender, waitress. That's about it. But I'm very observant, so I did see how people work, and I pay attention to lots of things. As far as the business aspect of it, it's very, very demanding. It probably would have been hard enough to open a restaurant in the States where I'm used to being able to get things accomplished in a certain fashion. But I am here in Mexico, opened a restaurant with their environment, their business environment. I have a completely Mexican staff. I speak very little Spanish. I'm learning Spanish, but they're learning a little English. But I have almost completely Spanish-speaking staff. And the vendors, it's challenging. It's challenging. Hard enough to do a business, but then to do a business in a foreign country.
From scratch. Right?
In a foreign language that you don't speak. So it's had its challenges. It's hard being everything. It's hard being the purchaser, the chef, the accountant, the payroll person, the inventory specialist, the social media person, the create the menu person. I'm DeNuccio's. I'm the one behind it. Yes, I have a fabulous staff and they're helpful, but their capacity is their capacity as far as bartender, waiter,
Sure.
kitchen help. I would love to be able to expand and get some help in here, but I'm finding that to be a challenge also.
Okay. So what's your sweet spot? The kitchen, being in the kitchen, or what are you finding you're loving the most, and what brings you the most joy?
That's such a difficult question because the two things are the kitchen and the floor. I love to come out. I love to talk to people, but I love the cooking. And as I mentioned to Dawn prior to the podcast, I had a chef, and I thought she was a wonderful chef. I thought she did very well, but for some reason, obviously, it didn't work for her, and she left. So I think, again, everything happens for a reason because it brought me back into the kitchen where I really do love. I love being in the kitchen. So I'm trying to incorporate both. That's where I'm trying to maybe get people to make reservations so I can space tables out, so I can come out more. We're finding that folks all come at the same time, and I understand that. People eat at 7 o'clock.
Sure.
But my goal is to try to get people to come in at 6, 6:30, 8, 8:30. That would, with reservations, that would really help spread out, make it so that I can give a more personal experience. Because that's what I really would like to have done. Because originally, I wanted to do more of a bed and breakfast. And that is very
you really get to you get more involved with relationships.
So do I have the sweet spot is both. Is being able to talk to the customers, but to cook for them too. I think primarily to cook for them.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, it shows. I mean, when we've been here, you're out and in working the room, as I used to say, and like networking events, and I think that's an important aspect because people do see how much you love this business. And
well, and the other thing too, like I got my first 4-star review, and the woman made a comment that she thought the pasta was a little clumpy, and that's not what we're about. Does it happen? Yes, but people need to speak up.
Sure, absolutely.
It would not have taken me much time to have remade that pasta.
Right.
Sometimes we miss it. I don't pick up the tongs enough. It's fresh pasta. Fresh pasta does clump a little bit.
Okay.
To be expected. People will say, I want al dente. Well, we're fresh pasta. You're not going to get al dente here. You're just not going to get that.
Yeah.
So,
is there anything that I haven't asked you that you'd like to share before we wrap it up?
No, I just hope that people give us a try. Come in. Come enjoy. Come earlier. We're opening early. We really don't have a lunch menu per se. We're saying that we're open for lunch, but it's really more to get people to enjoy the dining experience during the day, where we have this spectacular view.
Don't you ever?
We have the bar that has all English TVs. We have 4 different feeds. We can have 4 games on, and just want people to know about us and to come out and to relax and enjoy their meal. Not, oh my gosh, I put my order in and it's not here in 4 minutes or 10 minutes. And, understand if you see a full house that,
might take a little bit. Well, everything's made from scratch. I mean,
everything. All of the pasta, the bread, the pastries, the desserts, every single sauce, everything. I do not have a pan of sauce and pasta made and I'm just scooping it out. I cook every pasta to order. I cook every sauce to order. So it takes time, but it shows in the flavor.
Absolutely.
So I just want people to enjoy their dining experience here and relax. Be on an island time. Just relax.
Amen. That's so true.
Slow Down Kitchen, a wonderful little spot. It takes a long time to get your food there, and they're just a small little place. And if I would have to say that if you're in a rush, places like Slow Down in our place, we're probably not the place to come to unless you're just looking for a quick drink and some, a quick appetizer.
Right.
And people, sometimes you are on time constraints, and that's okay. Then just let people know. But a full course meal.
Sit back, relax,
Exactly.
enjoy the view.
We have probably one of the best wine selections on the island. Fabulous wines. We're about that. We do have a full bar also. And our bartenders are good.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again for your time. This has been a pleasure speaking with Maria DeNuccio at DeNuccio's Restaurant, and I hope you come down and check it out.
Thank you.
This episode of the Overseas Life Redesign podcast was brought to you by our sponsors. Thanks for tuning in. Did you love this episode of the Overseas Life Redesign podcast? Then please subscribe to our show and leave us a nice review. It's very much appreciated. We invite you to visit www.overseasliferedesign.com and take the Are You Ready for an Overseas Life Relocation Readiness Quiz. We'd also love for you to become part of our OLR community on Facebook. Thank you for listening.